Tass and Baltimore. It was a Caps victory up in New York at Madison Square Garden. And, of course, the Wizards with an amazing victory over Steph Curry and the Warriors. But my evening got started with a little bit of trepidation. These struggling Terps who, not coincidentally, were struggling since I left for Australia. I come back, and lo and behold, they go to the swamps in Jersey, to the homeland of Bruce Springsteen, and defeat Rutgers as we expected. Bruce Posner covers all things Terps at terptalk.com, as well as out on Twitter, and another little radio program down the dial. You can follow him at Terp Talk out on Twitter, and we have him here right now to discuss what was I called it a much-needed victory, Bruce. That's, I don't know what else there is to say. They had to win. A loss there, and we would have been talking about them having to breathe life into their tournament hopes next week.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly, I had tremendous trepidation, like you said, going into that game, just by the way they're playing. But Nestor, when you look back at the season so far, it's almost incredible that the Terps are 7-2 on the road and 4-4 at home. It makes no sense whatsoever.
That may never happen again, right? I talk to Brian Billick about this all the time because, he's our coach around here. And I always say, what makes it so hard to win on the road? Not just in football, in every sport, right? Winning on the road is, that's what makes the Patriots special, right? That's what makes the Warriors special as they go into your gym and they beat you. It is bizarre, especially given the one trepidation we had about going into this conference was the amount of travel, the faraway games, running off to Wisconsin and Iowa and Minnesota and all that nonsense. And it's really the last 2 weeks, though, right? They really hit that rut when I was away over in New Zealand, seeing these bad news finals coming from home. They just haven't played good basketball the last couple of weeks.
It's amazing last night, Nestor, and if you've missed the last few games, it would be harder to understand. But Anthony Cowan came out like Anthony Cowan from a month ago. He was just playing that high-speed, I'm not going to say reckless ball, but just an enervating kind of ball, and things were working, and I think that got everything rolling for the rest of the team, and with him hitting his early shots, and then all of a sudden Melo gets into the flow, and the big guys were great. Bender, now, you have to be somewhat impressed with the improvement of Ivan Bender, especially last night. He's had some bad games too, but not last night. He was as good as he could be.
Well, I would say this. He had more minutes than Dodd. I mean, the foul trouble thing, this is the recipe, right? Go after their big guys inside, which aren't very good to begin with, get them out of the game, and then you own the paint, right? I mean, that's the strategy, and that's what they're going to see next Friday afternoon, Friday evening when this Big Ten tournament happens. That's the way these lesser teams beat them, and then it really forces Maryland to shoot 60 or 65%.
Well, a couple games they got beat at home. There's no excuse. It was more of a defensive effort. I mean, they've been giving up 45, 50 points in the second half. That can't be. You're never going to win that way. And now, what did they hit the wall? Did they do this? Did they do that? Nasty. It's a long season, and you got brilliant coaches who can take teams apart. And maybe there were some adjustments that were made and. I don't know, but it was a different team last night, albeit against the 2-13 or 2-14 Rutgers team. And what did we say? Except they had to have that win. They can't keep losing, or next thing you know, we'll be on the bubble for the big dance, and that can't happen.
Michigan State game, this is always senior day, and obviously Izzo coming into the gym, and Maryland's fared okay against Michigan State, and this is obviously a different version of their team right now, but this could be a nice week here if Maryland can run hard next week, right? They get home cooking. To your point, they haven't been as good at home as they've been on the road, but this Big Ten tournament, this is rare, right? This isn't going to happen in D.C. all that often. Chicago and Indianapolis still going to be a big part of this rotation. I think Minnesota will be a part of the rotation before it's all over with. They're building that dome. The dome's built out there. They're getting Super Bowls and whatnot. I would say in Madison Square Garden next year is going to get this tournament. This is an important week for Maryland, especially with the type of team that could win this tournament next week. And they're going to get this double bye if they can get through Michigan State on Saturday. I think that these teams are going to travel well. I think this is going to be better than any ACC tournament would be in D.C. because of the way these teams are going to travel. And for some of the teams at the bottom, they really need this tournament next weekend.
Yeah, they do. They're going to have a couple teams are going to need a couple wins to get into the big dance. But It's funny when I'm sure when you watched the game last night. Did you notice how many Maryland fans were there? It almost seemed like it was half the joint. Why? Because Maryland has a tremendous presence in New York. So when they go to the Garden next year, they will be, you would think you could be in Washington.
And Bruce, you've seen that, right? At Barclays Center, at the Garden, at these Coaches Cancers games, they've gone up to Barclays and played a couple of times. They're always well supported in New York. Should be a shock.
I don't know a ton of people from around here who went to Rutgers yesterday. So when you hear, I heard half the crowd was from Maryland, it's all New York people. And you're right, when they were at the Barclays Center, holy cow, it was just thousands of people.
That Rutgers game is going to be a home game for them, even if Rutgers gets decent somehow, right?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be like the middle-of-the-road situation. But, hey, it was a great effort. You saw great guard play. And, yeah, I was actually literally watching the game on my iPad while I went to see Steph Curry in the greatest show on earth get dismantled somewhat by the Wizards. John Wall, 19 assists, Nestor. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's really blossomed into one of the really great players in the league. Not just a good wizard, but a guy that getting into April and getting into May and seeing how they matched up against Cleveland, that sort of a legendary game last month. And I think Tuesday sort of has added to the legend. It almost feels like it's back to where it was with the Bullets 20 or 30 years ago, where a guy like you, even on a Terps game night, will get in the car and go down there. The building got loud, right? And it wasn't just Warriors fans on Tuesday night, right?
No, it was a Wizards crowd. And it had a share of Warriors fans, mainly kids, Stephen Curry, followers. And they
are worthy of your attention, right? I mean, if you got an 8-year-old kid, I know you got a grandchild there on your lap right now. There'd be no harm in that kid wearing a Warriors jersey, given the way that team's played the last couple. They've been a fun team to watch. They're the team you want to spend $100 and go down there and watch them play, right?
The greatest show on earth. There's no doubt about it. Certainly on hardwood. One of the most exciting teams to watch that there has ever been in basketball.
Well, Bruce, when the guy that saved my wife's life came over here in November, we took him around the country, and the Golden State Warriors, of all the teams, they treated us so well. I mean, they were unbelievably kind to Niels, to me, to my wife. And they had us out to the Oracle Arena. They brought us down onto the floor, and Niels got to watch Steph Curry warm up from like 3 feet away. And I have video of it. And Curry, takes those shots going back into the locker room. And my wife was literally standing 5 feet away as he was trying to drain 45-foot threes, going into the locker room. And it was the day after the election. It was the press conference where Steve Kerr went nuts on Trump the morning after the election back in November 9th. And I had such a great experience. But I'm with you, man. The Warriors are big time. That was if I weren't jet lagged on Tuesday, I thought about going down there. I price shopped buying a couple tickets and going down, but I didn't have the energy. And I thought, the Caps were on, the Terps were on, the Wizards were on. I mean, it was a wonderful night Tuesday night. A very memorable night to come home from Australia and watch sports. And all three teams win, and they win in some sort of dramatic fashion. But, dude, back to the Terps. The big men thing, isn't this all going to be about matchups? I mean, if they get to the 16 or the 8, which they're capable of doing, it'll be a team that doesn't have good big men, right?
Yeah, here's the thing. If I was talking on my website, we do a video post game all the time, and I had Derek Lewis on the other day, one of the greatest blockers that ever played for Maryland, shot blockers, and he mentioned to me that he'd like to see our bigs knock somebody down. I mean, Ethan Happ just destroyed us, and the other night against Iowa, I can't remember his name, but number 5 had everybody for lunch. It was ridiculous. And defensively is where they're hurting. Offensively, they're not hurting us too bad. But defensively, we need those bigs to get tougher down the wire. And I'm sure, you needed a Rick Mahorn kind of enforcer on that squad. And those guys are capable, but they've never, DeMonte Dodd has never shown it. Now, he's a great shot blocker, but you let these guys just go in for stuffs and layups, and when you play the better teams, like Wisconsin is a bad matchup for us. It really is, because you have two bigs that are really special, and the matchup is bad. Now, right now,
Well,
if it
Purdue's a
ended,
bad matchup because they have the best player, probably in college basketball, in Swanigan, right?
oh yeah, without question. However, being at the Purdue game, Maryland had their number for most of the game, and they kind of fell apart at the end. Swanigan was great, uh, but Maryland, they had their number. I mean, the shots have to go in for Maryland. It's that simple. And even in the losses, Nestor, the shots were there. They just weren't going in, and everybody started saying they're tired. And Melo missed 3 foul shots down the wire. When does he ever miss 3 foul shots in a game?
Well, if you go back to November and December, the big wins that got them to 20-2 in those games where it was tight at the end, Melo won 3 or 4 of those games single-handedly, and that hasn't happened so much during the Big Ten play here at all, quite frankly. I mean, early on, the Terps were blowing teams out in the Big Ten. The last couple weeks, they've been getting blown out. There's been no late shots to take because they've just stunk the first half or the first 30 minutes.
Here's the bottom line. At the beginning of the season, Nestor, if I would have told you the Terps were going to be 23-7 with 3 freshmen starting, and they would be 11-10, 11-6 in the Big Ten with
and
one game
Tchaikovsky
to
hurt,
go.
by the way, and their big guy they had hoped for not playing, right?
Right. Hey, what would you have done? Would you have signed the contract for that?
I'd take that deal every minute. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been look, Turgeon's done an incredible job. Never gets the credit. He's done an incredible job of meshing these kids. That's 3 freshmen in this starting lineup. These aren't the Kentucky 3 top All-Americans, McDonald's All-Americans. These are 3 high-rated players that he has woven into a super team along with Melo and a makeshift big guy situation. And let's give Turgeon credit where credit is due. That 23-7, all right, and 11-6 in the conference is special. It really is special this year. The problem is that it's been going south the past few games, and now we face a judgment day against Michigan State because it's highly probable that the winner of that game will get the 4th bye. And the 4th bye, Nestor, is crucial in that tournament.
Yeah, they don't want to be playing on Thursday and then Friday. And look, if they get into the 4 seed, they play the late game on Friday night. They'd be playing at 9:30 at night. They'd be playing the late afternoon game as a 3 seed, if possible, if they get some help this weekend and help themselves. But the Michigan State game, 2 o'clock, senior day, the whole deal. Bruce Posner joining us here. TerpTalk.com is the way to find him. He's also out on Twitter at TerpTalk, and you can follow him during the games and the videos on the floor and the radio show down the dial and all that good stuff. Last thing for you on the Big Ten tournament, I think it's really important for Maryland to represent next week. I think the tickets are going to be kind of crazy. I think Indiana's going to come hard, Michigan State, all these fans. It's a cherry blossom week. You've been that guy that went down to Greensboro all those years and zipping around when the tournaments in Atlanta or the tournaments in D.C. or the tournaments in Charlotte, wherever it would be, for those
Mainly
ACC tournaments.
Mainly in Greensboro.
I was going to say, when you have a favorite beer spot in Greensboro, you're probably going too often, quite frankly. But this is special, I think, for the Big Ten to be coming in here next week. I think they're going to travel hard, and I know Maryland really wants to try to represent, especially if they get the opportunity to play in that late game on Friday night to turn it into a real home game.
Yeah, it will. It will be, and just like any other tournament, after Wednesday and Thursday, you'll have a lot of tickets up for grabs. They'll be grabbed up by the Maryland people without question. It's still a far distance from Wisconsin. It's not close to Indiana. This is really Maryland and Rutgers, kind of like their show, but Rutgers is just not going to represent. I mean, they can't draw in their own house. I mean, it's probably the only school in the Big Ten where just the attendance is just not good. The other places, I've been to quite a few of them now, and one thing I love, Nestor, is the Big Ten tournament. It's a whole different environment than the ACC tournament's really the Carolina tournament. Always has been, always will be. But the Big Ten tournament, it's different. The coaches, even the nature of the coaches. I don't know if you ever had a chance to talk to Tom Izzo or Richard Pitino or the bulk of the coaches. They're all really great guys who kind of embrace the Big Ten. You don't have that in the ACC. They hate each other. It's like they won't talk. Turgeon always said that Coach K was like a close friend until Maryland got the ACC. Then he barely would talk to him. It's not like that in the Big Ten. It really isn't, and that's why I love the whole move and I love the whole conference.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I mean, and I'm coming down for the tournament next week. Luke and I are going to be down there in D.C., and I'm going to make a little bit of a weekend of it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know next year they're going to do this a week earlier at the Garden, right? I mean, it's going to be strange next year.
Yeah, for sure. But hey, the Garden is the Garden, and it's the Mecca, even though their NBA team's a little shaky, but it's still a Mecca of basketball, and it'll be great. It'll be great having a Verizon Center. We don't have to pay for an airplane flight to go to.
Sleep in your own bed next weekend. Hey, Bruce, it'll be good to see you down there. I know you'll be down there Saturday for Michigan State. We'll be following the work out at Terp Talk at Twitter as well as out at terptalk.com. Always great having you on, pal.
All right, Nestor. Take care.
Take care. And thank your grandchild there for being such a good sport.
He was so well behaved, I'm going to have to get him a toy.
Almost as good as Spider-Man.
All right, buddy.
There he goes. Bruce Posner joining us here. You can follow him at Terp Talk. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world, including Christchurch, New Zealand. I saw it myself on the internet. Morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. That's got Luke's blogs, all of our audio, all of our insights, box score standings, statistics, WNST.net, the backside, unbelievable. Go check it out. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Any breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. This week it was bad news. Maybe next week it'll be good news. Maybe there'll be some acquisitions. Who knows? Orioles in spring training. We're monitoring that. Terps, Caps, Wizards. Whew. Ravens doing combine stuff. John Harbaugh having press conferences. Ravens with free agent news and cuts. You'll get it all first on the WNST Tech Service. And, of course, Dennis will be here on Thursday driving you home from 3 until 5, the SSV on WNST. I'm Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. London road trip on sale. Head coach Barry Trotz of the Caps joining us here in Baltimore on Monday, March 20th for the Bone Marrow Registry for There Goes My Hero. Full details coming your way soon. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.